We're live, Chair Kenny.
Thank you, Dina. At this moment, Your Worship, I'm going to ask my fellow councillors to rise with me and take a minute of silence in honor of the two officers from Innisfil that were tragically killed in the line of duty protecting their community. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. Good morning, Your Worship. Good morning, Deputy Mayor Bray. Good morning, Council. Good morning, staff. It's my honor today to call to order this Wasaga Beach Community or Coordinated Committee on Thursday, October 13, 2022. We begin this meeting by recognizing the First Nations, Métis, and Inuit people of Canada as traditional stewards and caretakers of the land. We acknowledge that the town of Wasaga Beach is located within the boundaries of Treaty 18, the traditional lands of the Anishbeg, Haudenosaunee, Tainodati, Wendat, and the home of many First Nation, Métis, and Inuit people as part of an intricate nationhood that reaches across Turtle Island. At this time of truth and reconciliation, we welcome the opportunity to work together towards new understanding and new relationships, and ask for guidance in all that we do. Disclosure of pecuniary interest, we have none. Community services, no deputations, presentations, petitions, public meetings, unfinished business. We have other reports. We have the fire department monthly report, but this time I'm going to turn the table over to George, our CAO, for a moment.
Thank you, Chair Kenny. Members of Council, last week in front of the men and women of the fire service, I had the opportunity to formally announce that Craig Williams has been appointed Fire Chief, Director of Emergency Management for the town of Wasaga Beach, and that was effective September 29th. Today he's presenting his first fire department update report as the chief, notwithstanding that in your agenda it does say deputy chief because it was prepared while he was still deputy chief. So I just wanted to, in front of members of council, acknowledge Craig as our new fire chief and wish him all the best in his new role. Craig, congratulations.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for the support, and I'm looking forward to this opportunity and all the challenges that it will bring. So without further ado, good morning, Chair Kenny, all members of council. You will notice on your monthly report there are a few fires as well as rescue calls. I did cover these calls during the last coordinated committee meeting, so I won't be covering them again. With the cooler weather starting, we are anticipating, as we always do, an increase in fires related to heating equipment as well as carbon monoxide emergencies in our community. And residents should be reminded to have working smoke and carbon monoxide alarms in their homes and to never use outdoor cooking or heating devices inside. We recently responded to a situation where a resident became ill inside their home after moving a backyard fire bowl indoors, which resulted in carbon monoxide quickly filling the residence. The owner did quickly become ill and called 911, and it wasn't until first responders entered the residence and their gas alarms started to activate that we started to understand what the situation was. Unfortunately, the home lacked carbon monoxide alarms, and the owner was unaware of this potentially fatal danger. This week is Fire Prevention Week. The theme this year is Fire Doesn't Wait, so plan your escape. And our fire department has been very busy in the community over the last week and a half and will continue to be so for about another week with several events. And as always, we visit every elementary school in town. You may have also noticed that we've increased our presence on social media as well as traditional media, and we're doing what we can to help promote the Fire Prevention Week theme. And then finally, this is the time of year when we focus our energy on conducting the provincially mandated fire drills and inspections at our community's vulnerable occupancies. So you will see us out and about attending the schools, retirement homes, group homes, and our care and treatment facilities on a regular basis and assisting those staff in making sure that their residents and clients remain safe throughout the entire year. Mr. Chair, that concludes my report.
Thank you, Chief Williams. I'll turn it over to Council for any questions. Councillor Foster, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And again, congratulations, Greg. I just was thinking that this time of year, I tend to quiz the fire chief as to November 6th, daylight savings. Is there anything that people should be considering twice a year on daylight savings when it starts and ends?
The test on my first meeting. Absolutely. So most smoke alarms and many carbon monoxide alarms do have battery backup. And if yours doesn't, you should consider replacing your alarm with one that does have battery backup so that you remain protected even when the power goes out. So certainly we will have some education materials out there and reminders for our community that when we change the clocks, we change the batteries on our alarms, and that just ensures that should the power go out, or if your alarm relies solely on battery power, that it's going to be there to protect you and your family when you need it.
Thank you, Chief, and you passed.
Thank you.
If there's no other questions or that, I'm going to ask for a mover and a seconder after I move. George and Councillor Watson, and Deputy Mayor Bray. I'll read the motion. Resolve that the Community Services section of Coordinated Committee receive the September 2022 fire report for information. All in favor? None opposed. This passes 7-0. And again, I thank our new chief. Moving on to the consent agenda, I believe Councillor Belanger would like to make a comment on 3.5.1. Go ahead, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair Kinney. Yes, there's quite a bit in the Director of Recreation, Events and Facilities report that I think should be made public. First of all, I would like to thank the fundraising committee for the Library and Arena to acknowledge the two events that happened a few years ago. I was part of that organizing committee, which raised $89,840, but I was going to suggest, if possible, the three major sponsors to that were Marwood Golf and Country Club at approximately $30,000, and then Fram Building Group, which was $25,000, and Stonebridge Town Center or Haymont Building Group, which was $20,000. I also wanted to acknowledge again that the Chamber of Commerce awards that our youth center received the Diversity and Inclusion Award, so congratulations. And also, I think significant is Nelson Marquis of Barcelos Restaurant and Grill donated $2,200 to our youth center, a very generous donation. And finally, the Provincial Volunteer Service Awards went to Joshua Bowles, Adele Dukowski, and Norma Kortz. And finally, I also want to congratulate you on the October Hootenanny. I think the weather held off, and I was there about 4 o'clock, and they had 722 residents through at that time. So please pass on our congratulations to your team. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Belanger. I don't see anything pulled here. I'll give council a last chance at pulling it before I read the consent agenda. Not seeing anyone. Resolve that the Community Services section of Coordinated Committee hereby receive the October 13, 2022 consent agenda items 3.4 through 3.6, and that all the recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding agenda items pulled from the motion and voted on separately. May I have a mover and a seconder for that? Councillor Foster and her worship. All in favor? That passes unanimously, 7-0. And with that, I'm happy to turn the chair over to Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Councillor Kinney. We are now in the Public Works section of the Coordinated Committee. Today we have no deputations, presentations, petitions, or public meetings. Under unfinished business, we do have 2 items, of which 4.2.2 is on today's agenda. We have no other agency reports. So we're now at the consent agenda. And before I read the motion, I have a request from Councillor Kinney to speak to 4.5.1.
Thank you, Chair Watson. I just wanted to give a big thanks to Public Service, or Public Works section, with regards to knowing how busy they are at Public Works, having the ability to get the playground speed limit initiative moved forward. And so I do thank you for that, because I really feel that that will add safety to our community. Thank you, Chair Watson.
Thank you, Councillor Kinney. And I just have a comment on 4.6.5, the letter from the correspondence from the Solicitor General's office, where they're talking about detachment boards. And this is going to be a change coming forward for any jurisdiction under OPP policing. And they're talking here about detachment boards will replace current police services boards and community safety advisory committees, expanding opportunities for civilian input on local OPP policing and encouraging a coordinated and collaborative approach to community safety. This is the key to this is more public input on these boards, and this will be going forward. It looks like it's another year away at this point, but that's kind of exciting news for Huronia West, I think, to have a detachment board, as it's called now. Thank you for that. So at this point, if there's nothing else, resolve that the Public Works section of Coordinated Committee hereby receives the October 13th, 2022 consent agenda items 4.4 through to 4.6, and that all recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding agenda items pulled from the motion and voted on separately. May I have a mover for that, please? Councillor Kinney. Seconder, Deputy Mayor Bray. All those in favor? Thank you. That is passed unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much, and we will now pass it over to the Development Services section.
Thank you, Councillor. This is the Development Services section. As you mentioned, there are no deputations, presentations, petitions, and public meetings today. There's a few items under unfinished business. Under other agency reports, we have none. Under correspondence received, we got a letter from Honourable Stephen Clark, Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing, re the public consultation in land use planning process. And then we move into the consent agenda. Prior to reading that, I know that Councillor Wells wanted to make a comment about 5.6.1. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair. Just a comment. The Planning Department matter that's on the agenda relates to a new, well, not a new subdivision, the extension of a subdivision agreement for a fairly long-standing planned development in the Longdale Road, Golf Course Road area. And while I am not opposed to the extension, I am a little disappointed in looking at the plans. I do see that they have the two stormwater management ponds included, and I think that's great considering the effects that we're noticing across the world from climate change and the increased likelihood of flooding going forward. And so it's good to see that put into the proposal to mitigate the potential possibilities of flooding. My disappointment is that there is no land dedication in that proposal for a municipal park playground. And somewhere going forward between now and the 3-year time period, I would really be interested in seeing whether or not the developer can be encouraged to include a dedicated to the town section for a municipal playground park in that subdivision. There is, to my knowledge, no other nearby immediate such park or playground for the people that live in the East End in around that Golf Course Road area. So that's the one thing that I'm looking for coming forward. The second thing that I'm disappointed in is that given today's circumstances for young families and people working in the service industry where their salaries may not be comparable to many others, no indication of any proposal on the part of the developer for affordable, attainable housing within that development. And I'm not talking social housing, I'm talking available, attainable housing for some of the lower income residents in town. So going forward, I would sure like to see amendments to this proposal to incorporate those two factors. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there's nothing else, I'll read the resolution for the consent agenda, and that's resolved that Development Services section of Coordinated Committee hereby receives the October 13th, 2022 consent agenda items 5.4 through 5.7, and that all recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding agenda items pulled from the motion and voted on separately, which today there were none. I'll ask for a mover and seconder, please. Councillor Kinney, Councillor Watson. All those in favor? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. I will turn the chair over to Deputy Mayor Bray now, please.
Thank you, Chair Foster. Did we cover 5.7? Did we cover 5.7 in the Development Services section? Because
Yeah,
okay, it only says 5.6 on mine. Did we? Okay. Sorry, because I was reading along, kind of going, oh, okay.
I suppose I should have said this just in. It's 5.7, not 5.6, but
Okay, I'm just
thank you.
reading an older version. I apologize. Okay, so then moving right into the General Government Services section of Coordinated Committee. Today we have no deputations, presentations, or petitions. There's no public meetings, nothing listed under unfinished business. So our consent agenda at this point has no items pulled, and nobody has indicated, sorry, there is an indication of someone wishing to speak. Go ahead, Councillor Watson.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. 6.5.3, the report, staff report about a sister city initiative. I'd just like to commend Dave Morrison for coming back with that proposal. I had spoken with Dave pre-COVID about exploring this. I know of Dave's association on the Barrie City Council and his efforts with youth and that around the world and his international travels, and I'm glad to see this coming forward. Thank you.
Thank you. It kind of feels like we're starting to get back to business post-COVID, so it's good to see it back on the agenda. So resolved that the General Government Services section of Coordinated Committee hereby receive the October 13th, 2022 consent agenda, items 6.4 through to 6.6, and that the recommendations contained therein be adopted, excluding agenda items pulled for the motion, which would have been voted on separately. If I could get a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Wells, Councillor Foster, all in favor? And that motion carries unanimously. So we move down to 6.7, a notice of motion. This one came forward last meeting from Mayor Byfolchi. So I'll read the motion and then look for a mover and a seconder. Whereas the town of Wasaga Beach is constructing a new twin pad arena and library that is due to be completed in the summer of 2023, and whereas one arena pad is identified as a community arena with 200 plus seats and the other arena pad is identified as an event arena with over 834 seats, and whereas interest has been expressed in establishing a Junior A hockey team in Wasaga Beach affiliated with the Greater Metro Junior A Hockey League, and whereas the Great Metro Junior A Hockey League has been in operation for 18 years and has 25 teams in 4 divisions, and whereas players are between the ages of 16 and 21 and require paid billets in the community, and whereas having a Junior A team associated with the new Twin Pad Arena will enhance the facility and provide economic spin-offs to the local community when families and supporters from traveling teams come to visit, and whereas increased overnight stays in the off-season help build the case for hotel facilities in the community, and whereas having a Junior A team in Wasaga Beach will provide another form of entertainment for the community, and whereas team officials are not asking for financial support from the municipality, be it resolved that the Council of the Town of Wasaga Beach provides direction to the Chief Administrative Officer to engage in discussions with representatives from the Greater Metro Junior A Hockey League to obtain information on what is required for a team to play out of the new Twin Pad Arena and report back to Council. If I could have a mover and a seconder, please. Mayor Byfolchi and Councillor Wells. Mayor Byfolchi, if you'd like to speak to your motion.
Thank you. Just to say, this organization reached out to me a couple of months ago, and we did meet. They're not asking for anything from the municipality. I think the motion speaks for itself. Certainly doesn't limit us from looking at any other groups that come forward or anything like that, but just basically starts a discussion to keep things rolling so that we don't lose time during this election period. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Watson?
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. I would concur with the Mayor's comments. Junior A team, Junior C, B, or A team in a community is a welcome addition. It certainly is a stimulus for the economy. As a season ticket holder with the Collingwood Blues in Collingwood, I see the people that come to that, and also a former season ticket holder with the Barrie Colts. And you see everyone from toddlers to teens at hockey games with, it's a very much a family atmosphere, and it would be a great addition to one more building block for our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Belanger?
Yes, thank you, and that's encouraging news. But I recall when we were planning Double Pad Arena, there was quite a bit of discussion about the number of seats. And at that time, I believe Junior A was looking at a minimum of 4,500 seats, but I don't know if that's changed or not, but I don't know what most of the arenas hold, but I thought it was around 4,400 or 4,500.
Mayor Byfolchi, follow up?
Thank you. So I did meet a few years ago, actually, with an organization that would be the same level as Collingwood and Stainer. They were quite happy with the number of seats that would be here. This organization here is well aware of how many seats there are, and there is absolutely no concerns from them.
Councillor Watson?
Yes, just to build on that comment, the Eddie Bush Arena in Collingwood seats around 900, and they have a junior A team, and we have junior C team in Stainer with their arena, so there is no minimum number of seats required. Thank you.
So seeing no other questions or comments and having read the motion, all in favor? And that motion carries unanimously. Thank you. The next portion of our agenda is closed session. So resolved that pursuant to Section 239(2)B and D of the Municipal Act 2001 as amended, the next portion of the October 13th, 2022 Coordinated Committee meeting will move into closed session to discuss personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees and labor relations or employee negotiations. If I could have a mover and a seconder, please. Councillor Wells, Councillor Kinney. Sorry, Councillor Blanchet, did you wish to speak?
Yes, I had indicated to the clerk that I will not be participating in item 8.4. Thank you.
That's noted, Madam Clerk.
One moment, sorry. Sorry, the deputy clerk's just noticing that we missed one item, one section to go into closed session. So we need to also add item I from the Municipal Act. It's not an addition of item, but just add section I for going into closed session.
Okay. So should I reread the motion with adding those, or can I just include section I and section K to the reasons that we are going into in camera?
Correct. We can
Okay.
just add that.
And the mover and the seconder are okay with that? Okay. All in favor? Thank you. Madam Clerk, if you can let us know when we're ready.
And we're live, Deputy Mayor Bray.
Welcome back. We are returning from closed session with 4 motions. The first, 8.1, that the General Government Services section of Coordinated Committee confirm the direction provided in closed session to the Director of Public Works pertaining to a labor staffing matter. If I could have a mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Foster, Councillor Wells, all in favor? I'm sorry. I didn't see your vote, Mr. CAO. Would you wish to speak to this motion?
I tried to catch your attention before you voted. Just a small amendment, if you wouldn't mind, to the motion, if the direction could be to the CAO as well, so with Director of Public Works and CAO. Just a minor amendment. Thank you.
My mover was Councillor Wells. Councillor Foster, you're fine with that minor amendment to include the CAO? Awesome. All in favor? And that motion carries 7-0. Motion number 2, 8.2, that the General Government Services section of Coordinated Committee receive the closed session verbal update from the CAO pertaining to lease matters for information. Mover, Councillor Kinney. Seconder, Councillor Watson. All in favor? That motion carries 7-0. Item 8.3, that Council received the report from the CAO provided in closed session pertaining to municipal property negotiations for information. If I could have a mover, please, and a seconder. Councillor Foster. Councillor Kinney. All in favor? Opposed, if any? And that motion carries 6-1 with Councillor Belanger in opposition. And then item 8.4, that Council received the verbal report from the CAO provided in closed session pertaining to a labor relations human resources matter for information. And I will note that Councillor Belanger has pulled away from the table. If I could get a mover. Councillor Foster, seconder. Councillor Wells, all in favor? And that carries 6-0. And with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you very much. Have a great day, everybody.